Chair, just to confirm we're now broadcasting.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Schools Forum. I'm Dave Jones, the Chair. Members of the public are invited to view this meeting online, and the meeting is recorded. Please can I ask everyone taking part today to confirm they're present. Karina Jacobs.
Present.
Simon Graham.
Present.
Cher Dall.
Present.
Sean Preston.
Yeah, hi Dave.
Jack Jones. Okay, no Jack. Ruth Warswick.
Hello.
Hiya. Joe Cooper's given her apologies. Nis Hardingham. No Nis. Christian Down. No. Nick Giles has given apologies. Nathan Waits.
Yeah, here, afternoon.
Thank you. Sharon Burt.
Present.
Hello. Councillor Tom Coles. No. Councillor Kimberly Barrett.
Yeah.
Hello. Councillor Chris Dyke. No. Teresa Cole.
Yeah, present.
Heather Smith.
Yes, present.
Okay. Sarah Daly's given her apologies. Mike Stoneman.
Yes, present.
Angela Mann.
Present, Chair.
Alison Edgerton.
Yes, I'm here, Chair.
Mindy Butler.
Yep, present.
And Susie Horton has given her apologies. So Alison, were there any, so onto the agenda, Alison, were there any more apologies than we've just read out?
Yes, I've received apologies from Nis Hardingham just before the meeting.
Okay.
So that's 4 apologies: Sarah Daly, Joe Cooper, Nick Giles and Nis Hardingham.
Thank you, Alison. Okay. Item 2, declarations of interest.
I've got one declaration of outstanding, of interest that's outstanding, and that's for Heather Smith.
Okay.
I did pass this over to Vicky Taylor before Christmas to pass on.
Right. I'm sorry, I don't know Vicky Taylor. Is she?
Oh, she's in the early years team, so she'd come
Okay.
out to do a visit. Yeah. So I
Okay,
had
I'll
given her
contact Vicky
yeah.
then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any questions about the minutes of the previous meeting? Do we think they're correct? Any questions before? No. Okay. So are we asking that the minutes are a correct record of the meeting held on the 4th of December? Can I ask for someone to propose the approval? Either on the chat or raising your hand. Thank you, Sean. And Sharon seconding. Thank you. So the minutes of the previous meeting have therefore been approved. Item 4, matters arising. I don't believe there are any matters arising from the previous minutes.
I'm not aware of anything, Chair.
Okay, so unless anybody says so, there are no matters arising, so we move on to item 5, membership. Alison.
Okay, so there are no membership changes since the previous meeting in December. There are still 4 vacancies. We have 1 secondary governor representative for Maintain Schools vacancy, 1 primary academy representative, 1 secondary academy representative, and 1 Conservative Party representative vacancy.
Okay, and I know you're going to follow up those with the relevant groups. Thank you.
I will do, yes.
Thank you. Okay, on to item 6, school funding arrangements for 25-26. So that's over to Angela.
Thank you. The report builds on the report that came to Schools Forum in December, including the further information that we now have, and it seeks to endorsement for the final stage submission to the Department for Education for mainstream school revenue funding for both primary and secondary phases, and it also informs Schools Forum of the progress that's being made for the other dedicated schools grants budgets. So high level in terms of the mainstream schools funding proposals, we haven't changed them since the December paper. The funding that the authority actually received was 0.6 million less than what the formula was giving. But we did actually receive additional funding for falling roles and growth funding that wasn't needed when we looked at the criteria. So that was used to fill that gap. So we was able to do everything, including the area cost adjustment, etc. This left just under 0.3 million of funding once we'd taken into account the extra that we needed to meet our growth funding requirements for the future. And that has been transferred to the high needs budgets as we proposed in the report regarding affordability. The report also confirms the de-delegated amounts for the schools improvement element, which is £10 and 65 pence per pupil. For the early years DSG, the consultation on the hourly rate formula concluded, and the report contains the summarised results in section 8, and the details, responses and proposed hourly rates are in Appendix 5. The report also includes the place funding that we're proposing for the high needs DSG budget, with the rest of the high needs DSG budget still being worked on, and that will be coming to the February meeting. So that's the report in summary. I don't know if anybody's got any questions.
Okay, any questions or comments that we want to put in the chat or can't see? Share.
Did you mean Sharon?
No, I've got share
Hi,
in the
just
chat.
a very simple and probably I'm being stupid question. Sorry, what? Me in the
Sorry,
chat.
I've got share. You put request to speak.
Yes, I'm trying to. Can you not hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Carry on.
Oh right, okay. I would just wanted to. You just mentioned Appendix 5, but I can't seem to find an Appendix 5. There was an Appendix 3, 1 and 2. Oh, hang on a minute. It's because I've just found them now. I've said that.
Oh, sorry.
They're in a separate document, aren't they?
They are, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay, so ignore that one then. Sorry.
Okay, Simon.
Thanks, Chair. It was in relation to 2.21, the brokerage grant of £10.65. Is that the same as last year? Is that an increase or a decrease?
Oh, Alison's probably got it to her fingertips. It's a slight increase in line with inflation.
It is a slight increase in line with inflation. I think it was a 20p increase.
Okay, and is that's the same for primary and secondary, is it?
It is the same rate for primary and secondary.
Okay, thank you.
Sharon.
Thank you. In relation to 10.1, you've got the 3 funding streams for special schools and alternative provision, and there has been a historic pay and pensions grant currently being paid. Is that going to continue?
So the rest of the high needs form, so the pay and pensions, whilst we've used the places to allocate it, it's not part of the place funding criteria. So all the proposals and everything that we have to do in relation to the regulations will be coming to the February meeting. So it's not included in this report at this stage.
Okay. So there'll be more detail to come. Is that in essence?
Yes. The whole So this just covers the £10,000 place funding for those different places. All the element 3 and all the other support services that we pay out to the high needs, all of those budgets will be coming in the February report.
Okay, thank you. And sorry, my second question relates to Appendix 4, and it was really just an amendment to the Mary Rose number of places. We would like to increase to 192 to account. We currently have 194 on roll, for example. So the recommendation is for 192 for Mary Rose, and for Redwood Park to increase to 165 to account for the demand on increased places.
Okay, what I'll do with that, Sharon, we've got the information from the service in terms of what they had agreed, and in terms of the return that we have to do in November in terms of the places. So if we go back to the team, we'll double check our information and we'll go back to the team, and then if there's any corrections, we can get that into the February report.
Great, thanks,
So
Angela.
it's 165 for Redwood.
Yeah, and
192, wasn't it, for Mary Rose?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions or comments, just in case I've missed somebody? Share.
Sorry, yes, I had a couple of other things I wanted to ask about. First of all, Appendix 3, I haven't checked the detail of the rules about this, but I noticed in the section about mobility funding, it says it's for pupils starting school outside of normal entry dates. But I believe there's usually a formula for needing a certain percentage of change before you attract this funding. Is that still the case, or does it now mean that it's every individual child starting school outside of normal entry dates?
I'll refer it to Alison. Alison's got the hopefully got at her fingertips the specific, but it is numbers that fall in that criteria. But Alison, can you expand?
Not individuals. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember the percentage off the top of my head at this precise moment, so rather than quoting a wrong, incorrect percentage, I won't. But it is that it's a certain percentage of movement. So it's those children that come in the summer census and the spring census, which is outside of the October one, which the budget's normally made on. And it has to be over a certain limit of those, a certain number of those, a certain percentage of those pupils. Yeah.
Thank you. That was the bit I wasn't asking you to know the detail. I just wanted to be sure that it hadn't suddenly become much more an attractive offer.
No,
the second question was about section 6 of the main report, falling roles funding. I completely understand the reason for the overall decision not to allocate this because of the overall lack of change expected within 3 years. But I wondered whether how schools will be supported where, although we don't overall need the funding, for some schools the impact of reduced numbers in certain year groups is less easy to adapt for than in other schools. So if it's a number of years you've got in a year group, etc., how are we going to support schools who still struggle in this context financially? Does that question make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, Angela. Yeah,
I think it does. So, I mean, we raise these things with Mike, and and work closely with Mike's team in terms of what's happening with the numbers in the schools. And I think for the schools consultation, we did get some feedback about the falling roles as well. You know, so that's been responded to by Mike's team, but I know everybody has got their eyes on the numbers and the admissions and the potential impact it has for the schools. Like you say, the formula that we have and what we pass out means that actually we're not anticipating an increase at the moment, which would allow that falling roles funding to be allocated. And so that's why it hasn't been allocated under this, you know, this time, despite, you know, again, it's a formula funding certain percentages of the different areas that the DFE look at falling roles. We've hit that criteria, so we have got just under £300,000 of funding for that. But actually, when we're looking at individual schools and whether they're going to get a future increase in numbers to be able to then pay that out, we haven't got schools that are meeting that criteria, which is why we haven't. But I don't know whether, Mike, I can pass to you for you to explain more about, you know, how your team works with schools.
Yeah, just to add to what Angela said, we've been working with schools across the city in those sort of planning areas that we use when we're looking at forecasts for pupil numbers and what we submit to the DFE. And in each of those planning areas, we're working with schools to determine what would be sensible admission numbers going forward. So in some areas, we've made some changes with the schools to reduce, for example, the planned admission numbers to fit with the forecast in those areas. And of course, we review them on a yearly basis, and we'll continue to have those discussions. So just to reassure you, you know, those discussions are happening. We've just gone through that round of consultation in each of those areas, led by Joe Hill. But yeah, happy to pick up any more detail if you want to know about your particular area. Happy to do that. But yeah, just to reassure you on that point.
Thank you, that's great. I had a couple of comments I just wanted to make quickly as well, if that's okay.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so one was 8.7. I really welcome the fact that you're looking into support for SEND in early years. I know that's a challenging issue, so I just wanted to say that's really good that you are going to look more into how to support that. And in 9.7, the high needs block, it's great that we've got some more funding, and but shame it doesn't solve all our problems. So looking forward to hearing the continuation of the work on that when we get to the point where we can hear more about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more comments or questions before we go to the votes? No? Okay. This first vote is for everyone. So it's recommended that the schools forum endorse items 2.11 to 2.18. Do I have a proposer of the recommendations? Thank you, Sean. And a seconder. Well, thank you, Nathan. Okay. So the recommendation has been proposed and seconded. I will now take the vote by affirmation of the meeting as permitted within the regulations. There is no dissent. The proposal is passed. Are there any objectors to this recommendation? No. Okay, the recommendation is passed. So item 2.2, this is for maintained schools forum members. So that's myself, Karina, Simon and Cher. It's recommended that maintained schools forum members approve item 2.21, the de-delegated unit values in relation to the school improvement monitoring and brokerage grant. Do I have a proposer for this? Must be from one of us. Is that Share? Thank
In
you.
the chat, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. And is that Karina seconded? Thank
Yep.
you. Okay, the recommendation is being proposed and seconded. I'll now take the vote by affirmation of the meeting as permitted within the regulations. If there is no dissent, the proposal is passed. Are there any objectors to this recommendation?
Yes, Chair, I have an objection to the recommendation.
Okay. Alison, you can let me know what happens next, but as I believe we have.
Yes, so this we clarified with the DFE last year regarding this particular item, and it is a majority vote for the maintained school members, which has happened, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, I just need to confirm that we've been told by part of the council that we're not part of the local authority recently. So we've been told by the recruitment services that St Edmunds is not a local authority school. So I've had an email from Gemma in the recruitment manager, and we've had that from a couple of the local authorities. So it's a bit more complex actually than just that. So obviously I will have to take that up with the local authority. So
okay, so I think that's about being a maintained school. So yeah, I obviously that's beyond my remit at the moment. Mike, did you want to pop in there?
It's just
well, yeah,
it'd be useful. Local authority, how can we be a maintained school?
Yeah, I mean, St Edmunds is a local authority maintained school. I can confirm that, but it would be useful to see the correspondence you've had, Simon, because that is contrary to what your status is. But yeah, I don't know what the context is with regard to that. It may be around employment. I don't know. I need to have a look at it. If you could forward it to me, Simon, that would be helpful.
It will be, but just that means that that's double standards. It's to do with that kind of thing, employment. But you know, in one breath we're a local authority school when it comes to taking money, and in another breath we're not when it comes to accessing services and other things. So it's just an interesting dilemma, isn't it? So,
yeah, but not in terms of school improvement, in terms of services. But anyway, yeah, send it to me, Simon. I'll have a look at it and I'll confirm. I'll clarify why there's that distinction. If there is one, I'd need to look at it.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Obviously, that's absolutely important, Simon. That needs to be clarified because it should be consistent across the board. Obviously, this, as Mike said, is to do the school improvement function. But yeah, you should have access to all the same services as we do. Absolutely. Okay, so that means that the recommendation has been approved, but obviously Mike's taken on Simon's points back to the local authority. The date of the next meeting is Wednesday, the 5th of February. That's the end of the meeting. Thanks everybody for attending today, and thank you, Alison and Angela, for putting this report together over the Christmas holidays. I know it's been a massive rush, and you know, timings are never great. James is now going to end the live stream, and he'll let us know when we're off air. So please hang fire on any further conversations until we stop broadcasting.